Hello everybody, how's it going? I can't hear you, so there's no point in answering. Myself, I'm recovering from about a 36-hour migraine that I had. Yeah, but I'm back with another video. Haven't recorded any new songs of late. Haven't gone hiking or camping lately. So it's not going to be a music video, and it's not going to be a nature outdoors video either. But my channel's kind of a variety channel anyway, so I thought I would do something that might be interesting to some of you. And what I'm going to do now is a video of my rock slash mineral slash fossil collection. This is a just in a wooden box I made. Sheesh, must have been about 20 when I made this, so it's about a decade and a half ago, and I made it to display my rocks and minerals and fossils, well, some of them anyway. So I thought I'd start with this one. It's quite interesting. Yes, I'm going to handle these with my bare hands. I don't have gloves to do it, but I'm sure they'll be fine. Now this is in fact a fragment of a stalactite, those things that hang down from the ceilings of caves that are formed by the mineral calcium carbonate being deposited over many years as the calcium carbonate is dissolved in water, and obviously it runs through the caves and then finds a place to drip out, and as it drips out, a little bit of calcium carbonate is left behind each time, and eventually they grow into these things. But this is just a fragment of a one. And no, I did not go out and destroy a thousands-year-old stalactite to get it. I actually found this, goodness me, it must have been about 1996, so I was like 12 years old or something. I found this in a limestone quarry. Here we go. You can see where the water would have dripped through, the limestone-rich water would have dripped through, and over time would have deposited the limestone until you get a stalactite. And yeah, so it was already broken, it was already ruined, so I picked it up and took it home. It's calcium carbonate. In fact, I'll show you the crystalline version of calcium carbonate. Now this is calcite. It's the calcium carbonate in its crystalline form. Might actually be better on the black like that, right? Yeah, that's better. There we go. Calcite, calcium carbonate in crystal form. And next, I think I will show you these three interesting specimens here. These are all created by the erosion of wind and sand. This one I found in Port Waikato, on the west coast of the North Island of New Zealand, and as you can see, it's been it must have been a sandstone of some kind, and it's been rounded off by being blasted by wind and sand. You can actually see the rings of where it's sort of worn away, and obviously it was layered in the first place. Next up is this one. As you can see, it's some kind of sandstone again, being rounded off by the wind and sand on a beach somewhere. I can't remember which beach I found this one on, but you can see it's got a similar sort of a shape as this one, and a similar sort of exposure of the layering. You can see them in there. So yeah, anyway, that's another stone that's been shaped by the wind and sand. Very interesting. And then there's this one. Now the thing about these is that you're supposed to leave them behind. You're not supposed to pick them up and take them from the beach. But that is not something I did. I did not take that from the beach, because this was actually found in the 1960s. It's called a ventifact due to the way it's been shaped, which again, it's been shaped by the wind and sand. You can see obviously the sand has been blowing up here, along here like this, and flattened it here and rounded it off by coming around here like that for probably years and years and years. But I'm not quite sure what the original stone is. And it was found along the Wanganui coast, along the beach down by Wanganui. As you can guess, it was not found by me. It was actually found by an old man I met down in Taranaki in the late 90s. and he actually had converted his house into a big rock and mineral museum of all the and fossils of all the rocks and minerals and fossils he'd found over the years, and this was one of them. So he'd picked it up in the 1960s, yeah, so he turned his house into a museum basically, and he let people sort of come along and have a look in it, have a look around, and he was kind enough to give me this, and he told me you won't be able to pick these up anymore because it's actually illegal to pick them up. And obviously when he picked them up it hadn't been made illegal yet, but they must be quite rare. But what an extraordinary shape, look at that, look at the way it's been rounded, extraordinary. So yeah, if you see one of these on Wanganui Beach, leave it there because you're not allowed to pick them up anymore because they're very rare. Okay, and now we're moving on to the petrified wood section of the tour. And what is petrified wood, you ask? Well, petrified wood is basically wood that has had its fibers, its wood fibers, replaced by rock. So the wood doesn't exist anymore; it's been replaced by rock. And it's a process that involves water and obviously silica that's dissolved in the water, which leaches into the wood and basically replaces it over time. And these are all from up Coromandel Way. I don't know where this one exactly in the Coromandel this one's from because I didn't find that one. The rest were from Whangamata, I think. I think they were in a stream near Whangamata, I think. Or it could have been Tairua, however you say it, Tairua. But I think it was a stream near Whangamata, up Coromandel Way anyway. And this is the biggest one, of course. And as you can see, there's a few different colours in there. Some blacks, some greys, some whites, some browns, yellow. In the late 90s, that's when I found it by the stream, and Dad used it as a as a doorstop for many years before I sort of claimed it back. The crystals just in there, see, and the really small ones. And I'll turn it around and give you a proper look at it. Oh, look at that, look at the shapes on that. Cool, eh? Really cool. Anyway, we'll move on to some of the other pieces now, eh? Now this one's almost like chert or something, but it is petrified wood. It was found up Coromandel Way. It was actually given to me by my mother's. Looks a bit like South America, doesn't it? Except the wrong way around. But it was actually given. Oh, I'm scratching up my chair. It was actually given to me by my mum's auntie. She was a bit of a rock hound, and she used to make sort of ornaments and display pieces out of them, gems, I suppose. She'd polish them up. Shouldn't do it with this one, but she just gave it to me. Yeah, she found it somewhere in the Coromandel. Look at the way it fractures. Oh, look, you can see some crystals in there, see? You can see them sparkling if I move it in the light. Maybe not. Colours and stuff in there. It's quite shiny there, it's quite hard there as well. Very rock there, but it's still quite soft in here. I get a close-up of that. It used to be wood. Right, since we're going down the organic material that has been replaced by stone path, let's have a look at some of these. The first one here, now this is oh, rock just fell on the ground. Oh well. This is, well, was a brachipod, a type of bivalve, mollusk of some kind. They call it a brachipod. I don't know where it came from or where it was found, I think I bought this, and it would once have had a bit of paper with it telling you exactly where it was from and when I bought it and how old it is. I know it's millions of years old, but unfortunately those have all gone missing. They sort of have been moved around a bit. I move around, but these get left at my parents' place, and so they kind of get moved around, and obviously the bits of paper with all the information on it have gone missing. But yeah, look at that. Wonder how old it is, eh? Millions of years old anyway. I think it might have been from Morocco, this one. And next one, some of you might recognise this one. This is I made a video of myself finding this one. This is a belemnite, another mollusk, sort of a squid type creature. And I found this one up in Port Waikato, on the beach there. You can see it there. It's only its shell remains. Only the hard part remains that were replaced by minerals. And I broke it in half, unfortunately, but there's the other half. Yeah, so if you want to watch that video, it's only about 5 minutes long, I think, but it's quite nice and short. But you can go watch that video on my channel of me finding that. And belemnite I found in Port Waikato. Oh, speaking of which, here's one that I actually bought, but this is a polished one, so that's what it looks like when it's been put through a rock polishing machine. You can see it in there, the shell, the cone. Before, after. And this one, now I found this along the west coast as well. I think it might have been along Petrified Beach, down Marakopa way. There you go, Steve. Steve from Stalactites also has a video where he's gone down to the beach there and he's found some shells just like this. Don't know how old they are. There's some kind of bivalve again, but I'm sure that there's some information on the internet telling you about the geology of that area. Petrified Beach, Marakopa, that sort of way, along the west coast of the North Island there. I'll sort of hold that up and zoom in. And I have a few pieces here on display on my drawers here. This is pyrite, iron sulfide, or iron pyrite they call it. It's also known as fool's gold because it could be mistaken for gold, or it could be mistaken for a gold nugget, especially on that side. You see that, but it's not gold at all. It's actually iron sulfide, fool's gold, pyrite. Many names, many different names. And you see the you can see the growth, the crystal growth really well on the front. It's quite dull. I think it's sort of oxidized, I think is the word. It used to be a lot shinier, but the surface is oxidized, I think. An agate, polished agate. I did not find this. I bought this at a rock shop. Not the rock shop, not the music shop, but a rock shop. And see, if that's what it looks like to the untrained eye, you wouldn't know what's in there. But somebody obviously knew and they picked it up, sliced it in half, polished it, and that was what was inside. And obviously you can see that it's, I think what an agate like this, what happens is that mineral-rich water will trickle into a cavity in rock, and eventually the crystals will grow from that, and they grow inwards. And obviously over time you get different composition in terms of the minerals being deposited, and that's why you get different colours. Zoom in into the crystals in there. And yeah, it just fills up the little cavity with whatever mineral is being deposited. A silica, of course, a type of quartz. Probably a bit of iron in there from the red, I don't know what it calls the green. Here's another one. This one's formed quite differently, you can see. It's almost like it's built from the bottom up, and then when it got to here it sort of filled in like the other one. It almost looks like well, it is layers there, layers that have been deposited I can zoom in, you can see some of the crystals in there, still a bit of a gap in there that might have filled in if it had been left there longer, or maybe not. But yeah, it's quite a stunning piece, that one. Once again, that's what it looks like to the untrained eye, but somebody knew that there was something in there, so they sliced it up, cut it in half, polished it up, and that's what we ended up with. And this is mica. You can tell by the way it flakes off, the way it fractures. It sort of flakes. If I try to, this is hard. If I try to show you the surface of it, you can see the way it kind of flakes. Flakes in layers like that. That's how you can tell it's mica. Here you go. These are flakes of mica, whole flakes. So the crystals kind of build up in that shape, but the crystals will flake off. Try and hold one up for the camera like that and get a proper look at it. Shouldn't really be touching it, it probably ruins it with the oils on my skin, but anything for my viewers. So yeah, that's mica. Mica and it has single flakes, and mica is a big old chunk. Now this mineral is called apophyllite. You can see we've got a cluster of crystals here, and a single one on its own here. Apophyllite. And I think they're both from India, these specimens. See how you can see even though it's a crystal cluster, you can see how they're a similar shape to this one here. Apophyllite from India. Now I thought we would move on to the volcanic rocks. And we'll start with this one. And I did not actually find this one. This was actually found by my sister. I was there when she found it. I can't remember which sister though. One of my sisters anyway. But I was there when she found it. And she found it by a roadside up at the base of Mount Ruapehu, which is a volcano here in New Zealand. And obviously what's happened is as they've cut the road with some kind of cutting machine to cut the rock up to clear for the road, they've cut this in half and left a very interesting interior on display. I'm not quite sure how exactly that formed, but I know it's from Ruapehu, and I know it's volcanic, and I know it's very interesting. This is a piece of obsidian. I have no idea where I found this. Probably somewhere on what they call the volcanic plateau, which is Rotorua, Taupo, that sort of area. But it is volcanic glass, and the reason it is glass is because it solidifies too quickly for any crystals to form. So it's basically amorphous. Yeah, well, it is glass effectively, isn't it? I mean, glass is an amorphous, and it's made out of sand. So it's basically, this is just a natural volcanic glass. Look at the way it fractures like an onion when you break it. Look at that. Here's another bit of obsidian. Very sharp. I think the early man even used to make tools out of this, like cutting tools. They would break off a piece of obsidian and another rock and shape them into tools. But yeah, this is obsidian as well, volcanic glass. It's a different colour. It looked like this when I found it, and as you can see, I sort of, many years ago, I took to it with a chisel and hammer, and I can still remember creating all these sparks. And I was trying to reveal the goodness underneath the glass, the volcanic glass underneath, because obviously that's not very interesting to look at. But that's what's underneath, you see. That's what I wanted to reveal. And the reason is because I actually have a polished piece of this. And if we were to polish this up, it would end up looking like that. Now this one may surprise you. This is in fact New Zealand greenstone, Nephrite. Nephrite. This was given to me by the same old man from Taranaki who gave me the Ventifact. And he used to make some greenstone ornaments, I think. Or oh no, actually no. He used to find nephrite for somebody who did make greenstone ornaments, but he didn't give him this one, or her, or the person who made the greenstone ornaments. He didn't give them this piece because it's too crystalline, and thus it can't really be shaped as well as it would if it was more amorphous, if it was more glass-like. But you can see that it's green. It might not come up so well on the camera, but Now this here is another piece that was found by my auntie, my mother's auntie I should say. It probably doesn't show up so well on the camera, but this mineral is pink and black. It's black through there, looks grey on the camera, and it's pink through there, and it kind of looks brown on the camera, but it is actually pink and black. There seems to be some other mineral going up the middle there, like a dark red. I think that might be jasper or something. But yeah, but that is called rhodonite, and my mother's auntie found this in the South Island. I don't know where in the South Island, but she found it somewhere in the South Island. But that's what it looks like when it's polished up. So it'll start out looking like that, or that, and end up looking like that. There you go. Rhodonite. Now this stuff here is called Amazonite. Amazonite. I don't know where it's come from. I don't know how I acquired it, but I know that you can find a lot of it in China. So I'm guessing this was imported from China, and I picked it up at some rock fair at some point during the late 90s or early 2000s. It's very green, greeny blue. Obviously this is in its natural state, and that's in its polished state.